My favorite poem for this Sunday after Christmas and before New Year's, the famed poetic work by W.H. Auden, For the Time Being. It goes like this: well, so that is that. Now we must dismantle the tree, putting the decorations back in their cardboard boxes. Some have gotten broken, and carrying them up to the attic, the holly and the mistletoe must be taken down and burnt, and the children got ready for school. There are enough leftovers to do, warmed up for the rest of the week, not that we have much appetite. Having drunk such a lot, stayed up so late, attempted quite unsuccessfully to love all of our relatives, and in general, grossly overestimated our powers. Once again, as in previous years, we have seen the actual vision and failed to do more than entertain it as an agreeable possibility. Once again, we have sent him away. The hymn here is the vision of God in the world for Auden, the inevitable downward slide from the Christmas hopes. Auden is a bit more pessimistic than I am, for sure. Every year there is this week in the year that is between Christmas and New Year's. It feels like an extra hour we get on daylight savings time in the fall. Unearned, unexpected, with little to do or ponder. Christmas is the crescendo of the celebration for the church. And this Sunday, between here and New Year's, which offers in our church a tradition to burn the past year's struggles, is a gap. It's a gap Sunday, a Sunday with no theme, no story, and no focal point. I feel about this Sunday like I feel about taking down the Christmas decorations. I would rather leave them alone, but I know if I leave them too long, it'll be Easter before I get around to it. One year I slipped it past my wife that I left the Christmas lights on the house up until Halloween. The following year, though, there was satisfaction in that procrastination, but ultimately it wasn't very satisfying. I would just assume, let this Sunday slip by. But I know if I do, all of a sudden we will be into New Year's, and I may have missed an opportunity to address this real and important thing, which is called downtime. Now, I'm a big believer in downtime. I like when there's no list to accomplish and no orders to follow. I know those of you with ants in your pants like to keep moving, but I see it in a way of avoiding the completeness and the slowness of life is a mistake. My grandmother was like that. She never stopped moving. She was like a hurricane in the kitchen and often stood over and around us as we, the family, ate. We implored her to sit with us, which she fainted at for a moment or two and then got up and kept moving. Was she avoiding us? I don't think so. She loved us all with all her heart. She was avoiding something, though, inside of her. Some dis-ease or some discomfort, the kind that you only really heal from when you know how to stop moving long enough to look at it in the eyes. This is the purpose of meditation and the Buddhist practice, where emptiness isn't something accomplished out there, but something realized in here. It's what happens when we slow down enough and stop our agitating one another and ourselves long enough to see our flaws and our gifts and everything in between. The world is full of stories of people who get so busy with jobs and projects and lists that they lose the people they had on the path they were on. The internet now is full of stories of people confessing that they totally messed up their lives. If you Google TIFU, you will find stories of people who got so wrapped up in their work they lost their creative projects, they didn't realize their partners had left them years before, and they found themselves in meetings on the other side of the world with people who didn't care about them. They were alone and miserable and full of regret. The old adage, to live your life today because it's the only one you have, is appropriate here. Many of you are, for sure, and yet even in our intention, we often are rushing the deep spiritual rivers that flow within us. We agitate the waters that are so slow within that we can only access them in deeper contemplation. The poet says, "Slow me down, Lord, steady my hurried pace with the vision of the eternal reach of time. Give me amidst the confusion of my day the calmness of the everlasting hills. Break the tension of my nerves and muscles with the soothing music of singing streams that live in my memory." He doesn't say, "Give me more things to do," or "Give me a list to accomplish," or "Get me so busy that I don't see the people around me." He says, "Slow me down, Lord." And I say, along with this slowing down comes an opportunity to covenant with myself, to covenant with yourself, before we make deals and resolutions that we know we are going to break in the new year. Now, a covenant is a more supple, longer lasting thing that demands our attention. Resolutions are pie crust promises, easily made and easily broken, to quote Mary Poppins. But a covenant can be made with yourself or those around you. They're promises that last, that can be broken and can be repaired again and again. They sound more like we agree to respect each other's space and time, to be more fully present to one another and to ourselves, to listen more carefully, trying not to monopolize the discussion. They sound like we will try to respect differences and not gossip about ourselves or family or friends. We will honor the silence and allow it to enter our lives, to slow down every day, to look for something instructive or new, to learn something each day, or listen for sounds to appreciate or things to see that we haven't yet seen. These are covenantal statements, things we can promise to ourselves. They're not easy resolutions like trying to stop eating sugar or lose 5 pounds. Let us commit to companionship with people who love us, to reading slowly one book of poems this year, to meditation or prayer so we can love God with all our heart and soul and mind, to volunteering not to change someone else but to be changed. When we slow down enough, we make these kinds of covenants. These covenants are a kind of preparation we can make for the new year. Not empty promises, but resets before life speed increases. "Let me look upward into the branches of the towering oak," the poet said, "and know that it grew great and strong because it grew slowly and well. Slow me down, Lord, inspire me to send my roots deep," he says. When I heard this, and I asked myself, what is this Twixmas moment between Christmas and New Year's going to ask us? I thought it's going to ask us to covenant, to be something more for ourselves and the people around us than to make empty promises. It reminded me of that saying that we are not human doings, we are human beings. But we hardly ever think of being something as an accomplishment. We are constantly thinking of doing something. And the quality of our lives is not determined by how much we do, but rather by who we are. And so let us ponder these things in this gap week of Twixmas, this week in which we are living through from Christmas to New Year's. We are invited to let go in the new year for the old, and we are asked to pack away the Christmas ornaments and the celebrations, whether we have accomplished great things in that or not. We are asked to slow down, to ponder the covenants we can make with ourselves and with each other, to make real preparation for the new year, to grow like oaks, to touch the deep stream in the heart of our spiritual lives, to slow down long enough to see each other and the world around us. That is the challenge for you today. In this in-between, in the Gap Sunday as we prepare for the new year coming next week. Friends, may this sermon remind you of all that and to love first, and may it give you hope so that we might have life and have it more abundantly. Amen and amen.